right now.
So we're going to call the Arts Commission meeting to order. It's February 26, 2019. It is just 3 p.m.
There she is.
May I have the roll call, please? Oh, here she is.
Commissioner Legrone.
Present.
Commissioner Wentz. Chairperson Khan.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Tamori.
Present. Commissioner
Draper.
Here.
May we have the Pledge of Allegiance, please? So we have some instructions for, I see we actually have an audience. That's a change, by the way. If you'd like to address the commission, and you're requested to fill out the blue form so that we can have your name and so on. And when you come up, you come and you speak at the microphone, please, if you wish to speak. The time limitation is 3 minutes. And if we have more than 10 speakers, you're not all speaking, are you? Okay. Then we might have to limit it to a little bit more. So, and if there's public comments other than the items that are on the agenda, then then you could make those now, but not on an agenda item, just public comments on other subjects. Is there anyone who wishes to make a public comment? Do we have any correspondence? No. So we're going to ask for the approval of the minutes from the last meeting, from the December 11th.
I move we approve the minutes from the December 11th, 2018 meeting.
I second.
Okay, I'm going to call for the vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. There's no public hearing, so we'll go on to the regular business. And the first item for the regular business is the Voice for the Arts Award and Selection. And we have had 2 applications. Here is the first one. One is for the group Stage. And the other one, I'm looking, anyway. And the other one is for James Christensen. And I was looking these over. The Voice for the Arts, this Voice for the Arts Award selection is a recognition award. We're just initiating it, actually. And so it's a new thing. And when I was reading over the applications, the 2 recommendations, it struck me, and this is just an opinion, by the way, you guys can agree with me or not, but that an organization has so much more capability of maybe filling out a very strong application because they probably have somebody who can write well and so on and so forth. And so if we were going to do either a group or a person, then that group would have more weight to its application. So I'm thinking, and I would like to recommend, that we categorize our applications, and we do a individual application for the Voice for the Arts, and then a group one each time. And that's what I'm going to recommend, and maybe we could move, and if we agree with that, then we could give each of them the recognition that who did apply, because there were only 2. We could move that up to the City Council.
I would totally agree with that, and I was thinking the same thing. Because obviously when you have an individual, they're not going to have the vast array of documentation and experiences that a group would have. And so I think that's a really excellent suggestion. Do you want to make a motion, or do we need to?
A little input from Dave, because Dave actually initiated this.
Okay.
Oh, I originally proposed the idea to generate some interest in the different people and groups in our city so that you could have this very discussion. And, I agree, it would be really difficult for an individual to go up against an organization. And so maybe from here on out, we could have one for a group, an organization, and one for an individual. And
we can, recommend that these 2, and then...
Yeah,
I think that sounds great. Yeah, one as an individual and one as a group.
Yes.
Yeah.
So would you like to make that motion then?
Oh, sure. I'd like to move that for future applicants, that there be a category designated for individuals and then one designated for groups, so that each could actually receive this award. And this time that we would give it to each of the applicants under those categories.
Second.
Okay, we'll call for the vote. Does anyone wish to change?
Motion carries.
that was easy.
So that means that the Stage will be receiving the award, the recognition award as the group, and they gave a very nice, full application for it. And then Jim Christensen, if you're not aware, Jim Christensen was leader of the Oroville Community Band and Chorus for a long, long time, and has other things that he's done too. But he's just well known, and I appreciate the fact that we're able to do both. And we'll move that. What'll happen is this will move on to City Council, and as a recommendation, and then they can agree.
And Chairperson Khan and committee members, we're looking at this award being awarded at our State of the City address in April when we secure a date.
So,
okay.
The second item, which is, I believe, the reason why everyone is here, is the Oroville Arts Commission, the Downtown Beautification NOFO that was released. And so we would like to, have we speakers? And you have some slips?
So, Chairperson Khan, we have each of the applicants in the room, it looks like. And so the process, we want to go through, have each of the applicants be able to present, and then some of them have brought a PowerPoint. And then as we go through the presentations, individuals that need to recuse themselves from the process can do so, and go from there.
Okay, so they're going to pull the two and have them at the end, correct?
Yes.
And that would be?
Birdcage and the Rainforest Art Project.
Okay, so those will be heard at the end. Okay. So the first, do we have a speaker here for, the first one I have on my list is Stage, to speak about the project, the mural project. Have you filled out a blue slip, David? You can. If you'd like to talk a little bit about the mural project, if you need to fill out a blue slip and come up front. It's, yeah, it's.
If they're the applicant, I do not need a blue slip for them.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just following the process. You guys don't need a blue slip.
Giving you the runaround already.
Okay. So, but do state who you are, David. Is that on?
Now it is. David Dewey, member of Stage, the theater operations manager. Yeah, our application is to restore the mural that is on the stairway of Stage, of the theater. We had it uncovered partially. Actually, the city paid to have it uncovered partially to determine if it was restorable some 10, 15 years ago. And at that time, the expert said, yes, it is. And we've actually since then hired that same expert, who was well recognized throughout the United States as a specialist in Art Deco, to come and look at the original finishes for the rest of the lobby, because we hope to eventually restore the whole lobby. I would call the lobby finishes a work of art, because they were quite elaborate, even though they're done with stencils and stuff. It'll be something when we get to that point. Anyway, she has looked at this and given us a quote, and this will be a big rescue of a lost piece of art for the city, and in a location where it'll be seen by many of the citizens, and yet still be protected.
Right. And this is the stairwell itself is where the
stairwell
this
itself,
cache
yes,
would be
that
for, yeah.
north wall of the stairwell. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a Maxfield Parish type thing, from what we can see.
From the arm, yeah, from the arm we see.
So any questions you have, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
How many layers of paint are on top of that, approximately?
Depends on where you are in the lobby, but there's at least 4, if not 8 layers of paint on top of that. Some of which are rather thick and stubborn, and some of which aren't.
And how are they removed, usually?
Go very carefully with a stripper and a neutralizing agent, and you work your way through each layer. And then I have not witnessed how she takes care of the final step to where you can actually see everything. But it's very time consuming.
Pardon me. Is there any other questions?
Oh, I have a question. Are there any other grants or any other sources of revenue for this project that could be applied for?
You know, I really wasn't prepared, so I'm sure somewhere there are, but this is the one that's most directly. We have many projects to do at the theater, and so the demand for funds far exceeds the source.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, and I'm sorry there's not someone else here at the moment to speak, but thanks, David.
Sure.
We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I'm just making sure I have these in order, the ones that go aside. That I have notes on the old ones and so on. Let's see. The next in my stack is the applicants for Ted Hansen and Frank Wilson, and it's the mural. And I had some questions on that too. So
Thank you.
More stuff.
And you can follow us.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
We have the outline. First part there is, and this is, there's the first picture, photograph on there is the wall itself.
Is that the back wall? I was trying to figure out the location of where.
It's right, it would be on the east side of the parking lot where the gold store is.
Okay.
And it has all the gold mining.
Yeah, I knew it was in that thing, but I wasn't sure which spot.
It's on the east wall.
The east wall. Okay.
Here's a photo of it. What it would
Nice.
look like being finished, and it continues all the way over here. So this here will continue over where the door is into the building.
It's glary. And if you're wondering what the project is, those who are in the audience, it is a mine, gold mining mural. And Trump, I never can say it right, the fool the eye.
Trump de
Trump
Lille.
the oil.
Yeah, and that's the painting method. So, I always want to roll that in L and put it someplace where
Yes, I did. Ted and I are really excited to collaborate on this proposal. I've known Ted for almost 5 years now. I taught at the Brushstrokes Gallery, and Ted was there. Our painting styles are very similar. Ted is familiar with all of my techniques. I'm familiar with his. So I'm not in any fear of two artists clashing in their styles and techniques on this project. Ted's a master at painting rocks, and so am I. I've been a full-time professional artist since 1971 when I finished my formal studies at the Art Institute of Boston. I've done hundreds of murals, hotels, spas, restaurants, private homes. I'm looking forward to doing this one if possible, because dozens of murals that I created in Paradise are now in ashes. I feel like my life's work has just gone up in smoke. But we're really excited because the project itself synergizes the gold mining store, which is opposite the parking lot, and then in the parking lot itself you have all these massive iron artifacts from the gold mining days, and this just complements and creates a sense of visual history and excitement. And the mural itself, when we're done with it, if we do get this, it's going to be so much fun to look at because, as you mentioned, it's going to be Trompe l'oeil. The mural itself, it's going to look like the building is behind it and the rock face is in front of it. So it's historical, fun to look at, stimulates interest in the local history of Oroville, celebrates its history in a gold mining industry. So we're excited about it.
Thank you.
The materials that we're going to be using, I gave you a handout here. This is our guide for you through how we're going to put the mural together. And if you look at it, the materials to be used is some of the we're going to be using the finest quality exterior house paint. Golden is one of the best brands, and we're going to be using the Golden Artist acrylics, and it's a light fast rating of A+. Golden gloss acrylic varnish as a barrier seal.
This is really important. The finishes we're going to put on it. As I mentioned, I've done many public murals. I've done murals for Enloe Hospital. I was won the People's Choice Award in Chico. One of my murals is on East 3rd Street. My mural suffered damage on East 3rd Street. Vandals came along with industrial magic markers, an inch and a half wide, went right down the street, windows, doors, right across my mural. I was able to salvage it in a matter of hours by taking turpentine and removing the MSA varnish that we're going to be using. MSA varnish is used by the world's finest museums on all of our artwork. It's dissolvable in turpentine. Underneath that is going to be a gloss layer of Golden's gloss varnish, which acts as a seal barrier. Simply remove any tagging, spray paint, graffiti that may occur, and it can be revarnished. That's important in outdoor works because I've seen many murals in Chico that didn't have this protection that had to be repainted. So that's
Is it, if there is like sun damage and so on over the years,
no sun damage.
no sun damage?
No.
I know it's on the east, which helps a lot, but anyway.
The MSA varnish has UV protectants in it.
Uh-huh.
UV light never reaches the paint. And the
Okay.
paint we use all has an A+
Rating.
light
too.
fast rating. I want my work to last. I don't want people to say, who did that mural? It's all faded.
Yeah, understandable.
And less maintenance. The
Yeah.
only maintenance would be us coming back and taking the graffiti off.
The
and
graffiti
putting
off,
that
yeah.
sealer on there, which I have no problem doing.
And I'm going to look through the application, and then this, of course, the location has been approved by Side and Glance, right?
Yes.
And all that,
Yes.
you have all
And
that.
also, one of the things that is unique is I talked to him, and part of our budget will be including lights
Oh.
on the mural itself, so there will be lights on it at night.
Right.
So if people walking by, they'll be able to see it.
People will be able to enjoy it all night long.
Yeah, there it is. There's Side and Glance's signature. That's what I was looking for. That's
Yeah.
one of the requirements. If they're doing a mural, just so the audience knows again, if you're doing a mural outside of, rather than on the city property, it's on a private property, then there has to be an agreement that's written out between the property owner and the artist, and also a maintenance agreement that it can be maintained. That's
Yes.
part of the project's requirements.
And I went ahead and did that.
So,
And if you have any questions, on the handout that I gave you, shows some of our experience, and it goes in the packet I gave you, goes into detailed on our resumes and the things that we have accomplished. I know Frank has done a lot of murals. I've done quite a few murals in the schools at Ishii Hills. If you go up to Ishii Hills, you'll see a mural on the wall that says Ishii Hills Middle School. That's all done on tile. I worked with a gentleman, and that's my painting. And we put that in when Ishii Hills was put in. And then I had murals that I've done. I was commissioned by the United States Army when I was stationed in Germany, and I did murals in the barracks in Baumholz, Germany. And so I have the other one over here above the auditorium. I helped with Steve, which I taught his son, and I've known Steve Nelson for a long time, and so I wanted to make sure that whatever he put up there would show. And so I collaborated with him to make sure that what was done was to enhance and not to take away. So, anyway. And I want to make a little change on our names. That's Frank Van Gogh Wilson.
Oh.
And my name is Ted Gauguin Hansen.
and I just saw Gauguin.
Do you have any other questions?
Are there any questions?
I'd just like to make a comment that this is an absolutely stunning project. And I just thought it was beautifully done, and I can just visualize this down there. And it would be a compliment to the downtown and to our historic background with gold mining and all of that. So to me, this is an ideal thing. Really is neat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate those comments.
And one of the things, too, that I wanted to incorporate with Artists of Rivertown is when they do the school, we have school, oh,
Project or?
yeah, no, it's when they come down in field trips.
Oh, field trips.
They come down and
You've been retired too long.
Anyway, they do field trips. Half of the class would come in and paint, the other half would tour. And that would be a perfect place for the kids to walk down and actually look at an original 3D mine shaft. That would be really a knockout. Anyway,
Great.
thank you for your time.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, now the next project that we have is
Yeah, there's
No, yeah. The downtown Riverfront District. And you have a presentation for us?
PowerPoint, is there a clicker for it, or? Hi, I'm Krista Gaines with Dot Kids and Redfly, and this is Krista Nelson with Nelson's Footwear. Between the two of us, we've been downtown about 15 years. The light poles downtown have kind of been a long time eyesore that we believe that everyone would truly love to see transformed and become a part of the downtown aesthetic. If you look here.
Yeah, so this is the current condition of our light poles right now. They're quite chipped and in need of repair and painting. We have 22 poles that run down Montgomery Street and Myers. And what we're proposing to do is to not only paint them, but to add hanging floral baskets, and most importantly, to add banners with artwork of our local landmarks. We have some examples here. You can see it's not a new idea. This is done in a lot of downtowns and shopping centers, and it adds a lot of visual appeal, and it's inviting. We feel like this would not only address the maintenance issue that needs to be taken care of, but make a big visual impact and improve the ambiance of our historic downtown.
So the artist that has agreed to do this with us is Jake Early. I don't know if any of you are familiar with him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you've been downtown Chico, you'll see his art on many of the buildings. We just believe it has a modern, cohesive feel to it that we really would like to bring to our downtown. And we know that the BID that we're trying to form downtown is going to be using some of his artwork, so it just would, tie it all together. He's already done a Lake Oroville, Table Mountain, and then the riverfront. He's going to be, the price that he's giving us to do this is the price of one original. So he's going to, for one original, it's 3 pieces that we can use and then 3 all new originals. He really expressed interest in doing the Chinese temple, which I think would look really cool. And then we talked about doing the lot home. It's just a staple to our, not just downtown, but the whole town, between people getting married and just the events that happen there and the gazebo. And then we requested a skyline of downtown to hang from the shorter lampposts. Here's some of his art hanging in downtown Santa Barbara, and then a couple other pieces from Chico. He really, through this process, has expressed his interest and his love for the area, and I really think that building this connection with him, if we go forward, will probably result in us getting other pieces from him that he'll do on his own accord, because he really did just talk about how much he loves Oroville and how there's so many things he's dreamed of doing for the area. So I just think it'd be a nice relationship to establish with him.
Some of the key points, like I said before, we have 22 poles. The 10 that run down Montgomery Street are taller. Those we would put the 2 hanging floral baskets on with a banner as well. And then the 12 that run down Myers Street are shorter. So we would be proposing to do smaller horizontal banners with no floral baskets to keep them out of reach of vandalism. They're just too short to add that in that area. Also, the Botanical Club of Oroville has offered their assistance in helping us with the design and maintenance plan for the floral baskets. And then we have businesses along Montgomery that have agreed to be responsible for the watering of them.
So one of the most important parts of this to us is that it doesn't just target one site or one wall. This is transforming 2 major streets downtown. This brings new life for our businesses, consumers, and guests as they enter. I mean, so many people enter from the Montgomery Street exit and drive that Montgomery front, and it'll just give a cohesive look and feel to our downtown. And then, one of the other things to me is social media. In this modern day, I just think it's really important to have something eye-catching for our consumers to put in the background of them, in a picture. And like the downtown Oroville clock that Bud put in, people stop daily to take a picture with it. And I just think it'd be nice to have something that's appealing, wrapping around more than just that one spot. And then whenever our downtown is on the news or online, all I can see is those light poles. And I know it's probably because I see them all the time, but I hate it. And I would just love to see art that's local and applies to our community and just the people of this town hanging. So here's kind of just the general cost estimate. Again, I just want to point out we're getting 6 pieces for him from the cost of, 1 original. And then all this is being done by local and licensed professionals. And then CMA Construction has agreed to donate the services to install the banners, the brackets, everything. And then Metalworks has talked about it. Metalworks gave us a crazy good deal as well, but I think that they also would probably donate the costs. And then the banner production, Jake Early's going to be doing it. We've talked about different materials. He talked about using gator board, which is it's the material a lot of the downtown businesses use for their outdoor signs. I know Red Fly's had theirs for almost 15 years and it hasn't faded or been phased by the weather at all. So that's something we've been discussing. But yeah, and then any questions?
I have a question. When I read through the packet, pardon me, it says that staff recommends not approving this project at this time and to have applicant apply again for the next NOFA after concerns can be addressed. And it says staff is concerned about maintenance of baskets, plants, banners, etc., and the amount of staff time that would be needed to monitor and maintain the finished product. But you have said that there are only 10 planters and that the businesses in the area have agreed to do the watering and caring for those plants?
Yeah, so we're on the Montgomery front, but along with other businesses, they really want to see this happen and they've all agreed to it. And then Downtown Riverfront, or the BID, has also expressed interest in this and have also said that we'd like to add it into our beautification fund to making sure that it's maintained and
okay.
Looking
so that apparently is the only concern that was mentioned. And from my way of thinking, this really, when we talk about the Oroville Arts Commission Art and Downtown Beautification NOFA, to me, this is beautifying the downtown. And, most of us have been to cities like Folsom and Lincoln City and Portland, where these kinds of things are pretty much commonplace, and they are gorgeous, and they add such a neat ambiance, to a community, especially a downtown historic community. So I applaud you for coming up with this idea and applying for this.
Thank you.
I agree. The city of Gridley actually did something like this probably about 10 years ago, and I grew up in Gridley, and when I walk downtown now or drive downtown, I'm just amazed at how completely different it looks. It's beautiful, it's fantastic, and I would love to see this in Oroville. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do too.
Yes, I agree. Nice idea.
Thank you.
So the question about the maintenance and so on, so the watering of the plants would be done by
businesses.
The businesses and
Yeah,
so on.
so-
But if they're how tall? They're how high? How do you how do you
measurements,
water a plant that's 12? How tall is it?
Or I can't read it from here. But there's 16 feet total from the bottom to the top of the light, so
Yeah.
it's shorter than that.
Uh-huh.
But we have water hookups, and then in our price with Home Depot, we included it's like a water extender to go on the
okay.
hoses to get up there. And the Oroville Botanical Club, Kent, with FRRP,
Yeah.
he really, expressed his interest in this as well, and is making sure it's maintained too.
And then the other question I had about the material of the flags. So the flags would not necessarily be fabric; they would be board.
Yeah, so it's been kind of a debate. Jake did talk about a fabric material he had that's really weather resistant and able to not fade. I've just seen gator board work to where it doesn't, it's nice because it stays firm and it doesn't blow around. And we have signs that are like 15 years old that have not faded at all. But the costs were the same, so we just put that cost in there.
Any other question? Yeah, there were some and I know what those were. I forget who did that. Who was the artist? Anyway, but
yeah, those are for the silver light posts, like entering the downtown. So this is the ones in the heart of downtown.
A little further away.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah, I remember them. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we are down to, because we pulled the two, I have this one from Susan Johnson. It is the mandala. Okay, good. A little closer.
Is circular, which it's unified and it is ongoing, an unbroken circle. In the center is the golden sun, which represents not only sun over Feather River, but also the gold of Oroville. Also is the feather, which feather, and then the wavy lines are river. These are stylized Native American symbols from when I was a campfire girl when I was 8, which was many years ago. Mm-hmm. This is one of the mandalas that I've done, silk screened and this same color-aid paper. The black here is represented as green because it didn't show up on the black background, is the mountain symbol, the crop or growth or leaf symbol, the heart symbol. And together they form the mandala of Sun over Feather River. As a friend of mine in Southern California said, you're taking something from Indian, and now doing it with American Indian symbols. I said, yeah, that would be true. The mural is done on 4-inch wide subway tiles with Amico stroke and coat glaze, which does adhere, doesn't come off. The oldest mural I've done 15 at the school that I retired from. The first one was my design. I was given 2 weeks notice by my principal to, how about if we did something with all these beige walls? And I came up with the drawing, and PTA very quickly got the 8th graders to each do a tile and pay for it. And so this is the symbol, the first mural, the opening. And they all represent flight because we were the Hawk and we were Amelia Earhart Middle School and the kite. The other designs, the other 14, were done by students submitted and a committee picked them out. The one that I did not put on the poster is a hawk on a deflated balloon. And after 31 years of teaching, that's how I felt. Mm-hmm. And that was the one that was selected. As I said, the mural, the oldest mural was done in 1995. It is still standing. The Amico stroke and coat becomes very glass-like and it adheres to these. The only damage that was ever done was done with spray paint, and it does come off with paint thinner. Mm-hmm. I did not have success in finding a location. 2 years ago, when the funding was out, I began putting this together and then had to leave for a family emergency. And so this time, and I had some trouble getting to talk to owners because they live out of state and they're represented by a realty company. And I brought, when we had the release of funding initial meeting, I brought that up and the gentleman said, do your work, put it together, and hit the ground running, and if you're not successful, submit anyway. I found 3 beautiful stucco walls, and unfortunately all represented by the same company with owners out of state. The store owners were absolutely wonderful. You know, we'd love to have this on our store, but we don't own this. In one case, they said, we'll take your name, have the agent call you, and they didn't. So that was something, it's an ongoing frustration. Anyway, I'm from American Indian country, although I'm Scandinavian, and the symbols, the stylized symbols kind of pull at my heart because they are so general and they speak to the people, they speak to the culture, and they're cross cultures. Symbols are recognizable. We're a very symbolistic society. You know, a 3-year-old can figure out which bathroom they want to go to. She's wearing a skirt or he's wearing pants. My goddaughter just returned from the Olympics and she said, Annie Sue, you can't believe, she said, all these people speaking all these languages, they can get to the rowing, they can get to the skating, they can get to the whatever. And anyway.
Because of symbols, yes.
Other questions?
Probably, yeah, that was the question, you know, the location, and I can see where that might be difficult. How big is this, would this be?
It's, the center is 48 by 48, and with the double border, it's 56 inches square. Other questions?
So the symbolism that you used was from the Girl Scout
From Campfire.
campfire.
Campfire sold candy, not cookies.
Didn't know that. I was just curious why you might not have been maybe motivated by our local, you know, our local tribes, and maybe have you researched any of their symbolism or thought about incorporating that into your mandala?
You're right. I was looking for something more general, because these are very stylized. And even, like, there's, I think, 27 symbols for corn or crops, and I chose the one that appealed to me.
Okay, just
But
curious.
I do agree with you. Thank you. Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
So we've now heard the projects that the two that were pulled we can do, and so that means Heidi gets excused.
So who needs to be excused?
Yes.
Heidi.
Heidi, you can go
Heidi.
hang out in the fireside room, and I'll come get you when they're done in the fireside. Yeah.
Okay. Has some relationship with the project, so therefore she has to excuse herself for the moment. I've got a lot of paperwork here. I'm
All of a sudden, I'm trying to keep track of
Which one does it go?
Okay, so you want
Yeah.
birdcage.
So we would like to, the next one I have here is the birdcage. Shyla? Shyla?
Didn't see you.
Well, my name is Shyla Cook, and I was recipient of the NOFA funds last time, and I think we all really appreciated it, so thank you. I have been contacted by Birdcage to redo their building, and what I did was done in about 10 minutes right before the fire. So half of it I don't remember, but it was contingent upon getting the building painted or not. And it's an 18-inch by however long the building is wide, applied kind of a gingerbread across the top, and then the mural would have to be installed on creosote on the side of the building because of the metal stuff, the corrugation in the metal. So it would have to be installed, and then the gingerbread across the top and around the top of the marquee would be done. My project is just the design work, doing the patterns, and they have made arrangements for the materials and a workman to do the heavy work and then the installation. So basically, I'm just the painter again.
So it's going to be painted on a board type thing and then applied
Yes,
to
the
it?
the
So
creosote.
yeah.
Creosote, I really like it. It's a plywood, but it has kind of a waterproof coating on it. And I've had signs that are over 30 years old now that are still working. So, and then we'd have it cut out so it would look really nice. And this is a little addition in case we can get them to paint the building before we install.
Oh.
We can either install and they can paint the building later, or they can paint the building first. And I recommend a color like this with the metallic gold gingerbread and things across the top. It make the building pop without looking terribly gauche. It would give it a really
Nice look, yeah.
nice, rich look. And that's pretty much it for me. I don't have any answers to too many questions. You'd have to ask the birdcage representative.
And is there another person here representing the birdcage?
Not at the moment.
I thought so. It's you. Shyla, it's you. So, let me look at this a minute. And you've worked, you've worked with the Crezon before, so
Yes.
you're familiar with that. And the paints are?
I also use the golden, the metallic. And then for the mural, I use the same thing. I use the mural paints and with the top coat,
Okay.
nice and simple.
Any questions?
Just a comment, I'm really happy with the Ishi mural.
Thank you. It was fun. It was, but it's like I'd much rather do the painting than the paperwork.
Yes.
Agreed.
Thank you.
However, the
Thank
paperwork
you.
is important. And then the final one, thank you, Shyla. The final one we have is the what, Rainforest Project they're calling it? Yeah, the Rainforest Art Project. Thank you, Heidi. Oh, there goes Dave. I forgot. Dave gets to leave now.
It works.
We like your toucan,
Oh.
by the way.
Okay. I'm Dan Evers, and this is Tom Murphy. Tom's the art teacher at Oroville High School, and I'm the director of the Rainforest Art Project. Like many people I've heard over my lifetime, art's changed my life dramatically, forever, made it valuable, worthwhile. It's inspired me, and it's time to pass that inspiration on to students. I'll just show you some of the things we've done in our past. My brother and I work together. This is his project in Shell Beach on the left and Grand Cayman Islands on the right. I just finished a project in Nigeria and Africa. We work all over the world. And what we really inspires us is working with these kids. So what we do is work with them to create designs. Virtually all of it has a real connection with nature, so the kids have to study it. This is the barefooted iguana, and this is the chuckwalla lizard. These are all at Alice Giroux Park. It's a sculpture, one of several sculpture parks that we've done in the Imperial Valley. You can see the blown glass eyes and the stones from all over the world depicting very accurately the textures and colors of the lizards. So bringing a greater awareness of the animals and their presence. These are the tigers. This is at Wilson Junior High School in San Diego. There's over 40,000 stones from all over the world. They're all natural colored. They go from quartz to agates to jaspers, and the kids have selected all the stones and separated them to create the shading and the different colors of the animal. It's very accurate. The pride they have for this animal. They're moving the school, and this was done several years ago, and the school is going to be moved to a new location, and this is the only thing that's going with us because it's the heart and the soul of the school. This is the iguanas. All those kids worked on it. It's a giant sculpture that features repoussé, copper work, blown glass, and you can see the beautiful tiles. This one's in Barrio Logan. These are all in a lot of them. We work with kids in tougher neighborhoods in San Diego. This one's in Barrio Logan. And this talks about the history of the tuna. It's three-dimensional, and all these kids from 2 schools were involved in this project. And this is what we're proposing and what we'd like to do. I might just add that I'm not here speaking on my behalf, because when we do these work with kids, my name doesn't go on it, nobody else's name, only the students' names that work on it, because that is the pat on the back. Those can be life-changing events for them when they create this work. And working with Oroville High School and Tom, he's got a place in his shop that he wants to work on it. And so this is what we're thinking would look fabulous. It's would be very unique. I've never seen anything like it. This is in the roundabout. We can create the tiles that would create all of those looks. All of those shades are within our palette, and it would give us an opportunity, these kids an opportunity to place all the tessera, the sculpting. What they would be doing originally would be helping us design it, so this isn't exactly what it would look like. The kids will be involved right from the beginning, and then they'll be doing all of the mosaic work on it. It's extremely durable. For instance, in the Alice Giroux Park where those lizards are, that's 6 years old, and out of all those hundreds of thousands, not one stone is missing. I just checked it the other day, and we can talk to the city managers in Brawley or any of the other communities we work with. They're extremely durable. This location is just magic. And I think about the $150,000 that Chico spent on their funky roundabout near the bridge down there. I mean, it's just so generic and so unexciting. This would really, really put that corner on the map. It gives something for everybody to talk about. But most importantly, every one of these kids, as they go by there, they'd say, I helped make that. And that pride of ownership is just irreplaceable for a community. It can change their lives. So that's basically what we're looking at. Tom?
It's an opportunity for the students in this community to participate in an art-making activity that connects them and the art back to the community. So we would look forward to that opportunity to integrate the project and the construction of the project into our curriculum if the project was approved by the commission.
There's also some very, very long-range objectives that we look for in terms of elevating the culture of the arts within the community. These kids, once they're empowered, they will be thinking of all kinds of things that can happen here in this town and ways that they can make it better. And this will go on as part of your continued legacy in the community.
And so you also selected a second location.
Yes.
And that was in front of the municipal auditorium.
We looked at those two. Those looked like the two
better places. Yeah. Now, is the sculpture? It's standing behind the fountain that's there. I mean, it's kind of installed behind it, right?
Right. And so you'd have a water feature, and then it would be behind it.
Behind it. Yeah. I was trying to figure exactly what that was, but it's the students from Oroville High School who would be involved into the making of the project.
From the design, the actual sculpture is a pretty messy project, and we would create that and then bring it back. But the kids would work with clay to help shape the original, and then we just go off that, scale it up, and then they would be doing all the mosaic work there.
And what is it cast from?
Well, it would be actually a steel armature.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would be a architectural foam over that, and then we go with fiberglass and mesh over that, and we do 2 layers of architectural coatings on that. It's extremely durable. We've got them all over. We've never had a failure.
I love this idea. I think that the municipal auditorium is a better location.
Oh, really?
And I'd love to see it at the roundabout. My concern is that there's already been accidents in that roundabout where they've jumped the curb, and I'd hate to see a car take this thing out.
Big rock barriers.
I'm concerned, about that. There's also, according to the staff report, traffic mitigation. Encroachment permits and things, and so. But I love the idea of the municipal auditorium where it's much safer, and
Okay.
So that's my opinion.
I'm in the queue when you get a chance.
Oh yes, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I love the idea that you have students doing this and working with you. I think that is really, really exciting. I was really impressed with the statue of the tiger. And as someone who used to teach at Oroville High, and 3 of my children graduated from there, I could picture that tiger being out in front of Oroville High School somewhere, and it would be incredible. However, these 2 locations I don't think are a good idea. The roundabout, it would be a distraction to drivers, number one. And secondly, I really like the roundabout the way it is with the oak tree in the center, you know. But at the Municipal Auditorium, we already have those awesome Nielsen sculptures of salmon that go all across the face of that building. And so then, if we have this statue of a salmon in the front, it just seems redundant to me. It's like all we're known for is fish here or something. And so I think it's beautiful, but I don't like the locations, and I really don't like the subject for Oroville. We've got so much of that salmon thing going. But that's just my opinion on that.
And for me, the Municipal Auditorium was a better location for the same reason. I drive the roundabout every day. I do too. And it would be a distraction. People are, yeah. I drive it every day, so.
I do too.
So that gives you a clue of what I think about drivers in the roundabout. But I think the project, I like the idea that it's made with students. And I don't really mind the salmon project at all. I think my biggest thing about the salmon is that I wish he was leaping the other direction. Wasn't doing his backflip. But other than that,
he can leap.
I know he can leap this way. I don't know why. It was fine because I know they leap that way. You watch him doing that in the river all the time. I wasn't sure what the material was at the base. I mean the splashing water.
Yeah, the same. It's architectural.
The same thing. Okay.
Architectural with concrete. Yeah. It's a fortified concrete.
So, but I do like the project, and I could see that it would be it's sort of like when I was looking at the projects, I was trying to decide what we as a commission want to go for, and what we think that would, you know, do we want to go for the big bang, which is, I kind of think this is the big splash. I put it down, or the one with the light poles and all, you know, the cover of the broad area. So there's an idea of either doing one great big thing, or is it the something that covers a larger area and becomes more noticeable because it covers a larger area. Anyway, those are the things I was looking at. We only did the one NOFA. We're relatively new to this process as commissioners, and we have to think a little bit about exactly what it is that we want to do, you know, as we release the funds, what we think would be good for the community. So I think we'll talk about that now, right?
So let me go get David, and then I'd like to give you just a little bit more overview of the funds, and then you guys can deliberate and make your decisions.
Thank you.
I would just hope that we keep an open mind about the possibilities of working with the students and taking advantage of this amazing resource and giving them ownership.
Yeah, I think
at some point.
I think. Well, you
Thanks
know,
very much.
Thank you.
We'll see. Something may happen here. Got so many papers, but I have lots of papers.
Just sit down. So just a little background on the staff recommendations. When we looked over the applications originally, we were looking at it kind of from the perspective of only having the 30,000 or close to that. After having discussions with Bill and looking at finance in the actual staff report, I want you to note that the balance of your account for these types of funds is at 170,000. A little over. And with that, a conversation that we had today that we wanted to bring forward to you guys is that you can fund whichever of these projects as you want. If you want to fund several of them, our recommendation would be for the Rainforest Art Project and for Susan Johnson's project to consider funding them at a future date once we can find a location for the one project and for both of those projects, basically once we can secure a location. And so we would recommend that you direct staff to work with those applicants to bring them back to you at a further date once we're able to kind of solidify locations. So those are kind of just an overview. The rest of them, if you wanted to fund all of them, or even if you want to fund those, however you guys want to do it, is up to you. For voting purposes today, we do ask that you vote for the group of Stage, Ted Hansen and Frank Wilson, Downtown Riverfront District, and Susan Johnson's first, and then we have to vote on Birdcage and the Rainforest Project individually so that members can recuse themselves.
Okay, and which ones did you say would be voted on first again?
So the ones you need to vote on first would be Stage, Ted Hansen and Frank Wilson's project, the Downtown Riverfront, and then Susan Johnson. And then separately, we need to vote on Birdcage and the Rainforest Project individually. But you can deliberate the first motion, you can deliberate the first 4 projects together, and then we'll recuse to discuss the other 2 projects.
Thank you. Is there a way we can prioritize these with our own priority numbers instead of staff recommendations?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we could do that. The thing that I'm not sure of is, since we have, the NOFA was for the $30,000 release of funds, and if we were to vote and have additional funds go out, is that some way or another because the NOFA had a set amount. I'm just worried about that. We had a set amount, and now we're saying, it's possible to fund beyond that.
So administration and finance did say that you guys have the ability to spend the funds in your account, and so you can go above the $30,000 that was released.
And would you give us, do you have the list of the costs there? Would you give us the costs of the first 4 separately? Stages, blah, blah, blah.
Stage is $26,250. Ted Hansen and Frank Wilson's project is $8,238.38. The Downtown Riverfront District is $23,118.48. And Susan Johnson's project is $730.
Are there any other questions?
Well, I have a comment. We were told that Susan Johnson's project would need to be brought back anyway because she doesn't have a location. So that wouldn't be included in the vote, would it?
So our recommendation as staff would be that the Rainforest Project and Susan Johnson's project, that you direct staff to bring them back at a later date. Not that you don't ever fund them, just that you direct them to work with staff to actually find a location if you want to fund those projects.
Well, I'm not known for my subtlety, obviously. I like all of these projects, and I think Susan Johnson's is charming, but I don't think that it reaches the standard of the other murals in the city. So to me, that one would be out. But you guys have your opinions.
Yeah, and that's with the with the restriction of funds. Anyway, we kind of got it by allowing us to go beyond the set funds. It sort of throws my thinking off. I was here and now I'm over here. So we need to discuss this just a little. What about you over here, Hi?
I would agree that I think that the Susan Johnson project should be. I'm not supporting it at this time. I think if she were to come back at a later date, Perhaps, take some of Commissioner Tamori's advice and perhaps, incorporate local Indian. I would see that better, and also location for me. I can't see giving money to somebody to make something that we have no idea where it's going to go. So until there's an actual secured location, then I just can't vote for that one.
And how do you feel about the recommendation going beyond the 30,000?
As soon as I saw all of these, first of all, I have to say that I was so excited to see so many applicants. And everybody filled out the forms correctly. Everything was together. It was fantastic. And as soon as I saw all these, that was my first thought was, I want to fund them all. I love it. I'm so excited. So I'm all for that. I don't have any issue with that. I think this was just overwhelming, the response from the community. And I thank all of you, because it's awesome, these ideas. And thank you so much.
So from my standpoint, I favor the projects that are immediately impact visitors to our city. So I would tend to go for a mural or the light post, because when you come into the city, that's what you're seeing. So, and then can't comment on the other ones, but so I would go with the mural and the downtown beautification of the poles, and then before I would go with the bird cage, because the bird cage is inside and it doesn't have that impact if I had to prioritize. So that's
bird cage is outside.
I mean
the State Theater.
Oh, the State Theater. Yes, I'm sorry. So and then so that being said, the bird cage would be another one that I would encourage to be funded first.
Can't discuss that one, by the way.
Oh,
right now.
Oh, sorry.
Stop that, Dave.
And I would agree with Commissioner Tamori. When I went through this whole packet and marked my priorities, I really felt like number one is the downtown riverfront district, because that is something that visitors and residents see right away. That would be striking. And secondly, I like the mine shaft mural, because that addresses Oroville's mining history, and I think that is something that's very visible and adds to the downtown. So those would be my two highest ones, but I think they're all wonderful.
And when you're looking at the cost of those actually fit close to the criteria of the 30,000, which is what we were first looking at. So, again, it's a new concept, and I'm still trying to figure out how. So, if we are allowed as a commission to go beyond the 30,000, then
we would have to choose
what
stage and birdcage, or either or both.
Yeah.
And if we did 4 of these, if we did stage, birdcage, the mine shaft mural, and the downtown riverfront project, it would come to $66,000. So I would be willing to do that. I think they're all really worthy things. But I don't know what you guys feel about doing that many. But if we only did the amount that we had submitted in the NOFA, I would go with Downtown Riverfront District and Hanson and Wilson.
I agree. Those are the two. If we only do the 30,000, those are the two that I as well.
But if we did stage, birdcage, the mine shaft mural, and Downtown Riverfront District, the total would be about $66,468. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So that's what we're figuring. Well, what we can do at this point, we can call for the vote for, out of the 4 that were mentioned. So we can call for the vote for the first 4, and then we'll have to recuse a couple people here and see how the vote goes otherwise. to add any more to it.
Do we vote these individually or as a group in one motion, or?
So for the four that you can discuss right at the moment, you have a choice. You can make one sweeping motion that says we approve these three and not this one. We approve these two and not these two. It's up to you as to how you want to make, or you can individually vote.
Well, let's do them individually so it's not so confusing. Is that all right? Okay. Well, I'll make a motion then that we accept the NOFA from Downtown Riverfront District for $23,118.48.
I second.
Okay. We'll call for the vote. Does anyone wish to change their vote?
Motion carries.
So we've accepted that one.
I move that we accept the NOFA proposal from Ted Hansen and Frank Wilson in the amount of $8,238.38.
I'll second that.
We'll vote. We called for the vote, and do you wish to change?
Motion carries.
So those are done. Now, we can still discuss the others at another point, but we do, for the next discussion, we will need to ask
We
Commissioner.
still have stage.
What we stage? Well, we want to go ahead and do the four? Okay.
So you have Stage and Susan Johnson.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept the NOFA of $26,250 for the restoration of the mural project for Stage.
Second.
So what we're going to do is go above our funds now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Oh, I did vote. Okay.
Well, that was the other one, wasn't it?
Oop. Sorry, that was my fault for not.
That's why it went away.
Can you select your vote for that one and I will make it go away because it was my fault for not resetting it.
So is it considered a vote now?
Yes.
Okay. I think you do it again too, Dave.
What?
You're supposed to vote again.
Yeah, because it wasn't cleared, so now it's cleared.
Motion carries.
Okay.
So there's those. Now,
Can we do Birdcage next? Since we had discussed if we did Stage, she'd have to leave. Okay. Sorry, Heidi.
yeah, that's why we're kind of.
I know. Well, then I'll make a motion that we accept the NOFA from Birdcage Theater for $8,550.
I'll second.
And we'll call for the vote. You wish to change? Okay.
Motion carries.
And this is, again, an extension of the funds, which we will, and all of this will have to be approved by City Council. So we're just really sending a recommendation.
David,
Right.
do you want to go
Yes.
tap out with her?
Yeah, it's that's why one of our commissioners isn't here also, because she's connected to the Stage. So one of the things about being on the Art Commission, you're also connected to half the other groups around that have anything to do with art. So so now this one is the Rainforest Project. I'm really like the idea of this type of, because I'm thinking of the hands in Chico. I'm thinking of, how they became so iconic. And I would think this is quite possibility where this becomes a very iconic object. I also think that it, I like the idea that it involves the youth. One of the things we need to do within the community is get youth more, encourage the youth to become more involved in the local arts. What we could do with both this one and the Susan one, I think, is there seems to be some question about the location of the projects. and I agree that it would be wonderful in the roundabout, but I do worry about its safety and so on and so forth. So I would like can I move? Actually, I never usually. Anyway, I'd like to move that those two projects. Sure.
I love this project, but I think it's wonderful the children would be involved. But I agree that I think the salmon is the wrong. It's not going
wrong
to be
subject.
And it needs to be redesigned. It doesn't seem to be in proportion. The area where the fish is coming out is too small for the size of the fish, and I think that it could be a joke as much as it could be a piece of art. So I love the project, though. I hope it goes forward, but with a different design.
Thank you,
So. So that those two projects, because there's more money in the funds, and we want to, we really do want to release that. We've had this sitting around for a while, waiting for public art. We want the projects to happen. So my recommendation is, I move that these two projects come back with maybe a little revamping, and then we can work at maybe being able to approve those. So that's, ask the two applicants to come back with a little bit revamping of their application.
And I think that Commissioner Draper's idea of the tiger at Oroville High School is fantastic. I know that the Butte County Office of Education, I'm sure they would be on board for that. Or I'm sure, if you went to the school district board, I can imagine that, that board being very excited about such a project. So I would love to see something like that, and I think that would be fantastic.
So is anyone going to second?
Second.
There was a second. So we'll call for the vote. You wish to change your vote? You're good?
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. So what we have is we have funded the mural, the riverfront, the mural in the State Theater, and the birdcage. The other two, which is the Rainforest Project and Susan's project of the Mandala, we request that you come back. We will and come back to the commission with some revamped application of something, and like find a location and see what will work, because we'd really like to have those projects. We just need to feel a little more secure in where the location and so on and so forth, and maybe revamp the image. Does everyone agree with that?
Yes, that's excellent.
So I guess that I honestly don't know now that we've done this. Again, this goes to City Council, and do you know when that would happen?
So we're looking at having these items on the March 5th agenda, hopefully under consent calendar. And the applicants that you want to bring projects back, if they can revamp things and get them back to us, your next meeting is April 9th. And so you can review the revised projects at that time for considered funding.
Okay. Sure. Yes, come here and make a public statement, Mr. Public.
Mr. Public. Well, I was just going to say I was really impressed with that project that they were doing, and because as a teacher, former teacher, that has a huge impact on our city. And my concern about waiting is the amount of time that the school is going to be in for the teacher to be able to work on that. So I would just say that I wish that you would think about it and give them the okay as soon as possible. So because I know that kind of a big project takes a lot of hours, and it would be something that they're going to need time. And going into summertime, you're not going to have that big of a group to work on it.
But school starts again in September or August, actually.
That's true. That's true.
It
But
comes back.
Just a thought.
Yeah. So is there any other comments then? Do we have anything else? I don't even know where my agenda went to right now. Ah, there it is. Are there any other discussion items that we have? Any administrative report?
None.
Oh, that means that we can call an end to this meeting. We can adjourn. And the next meeting will be?
April 9th at 3 p.m.
Thank you very much for everyone being here. We really appreciate it. You're welcome.